Hi friends, this is Tatiana and I am the Slow Crafter, and this is part 2 of my May 2019 Paper Pumpkin Alternatives. If you didn't see part 1, I'll link it below and you can go and watch that after if you like. Okay, so for the first card, I'm using a piece of paper that came from one of the envelopes in the kit this month, and all I did was use a circle die to cut out a circle. And I'm going to angle the lines so that they are angling diagonally up and to the right. And this is because I want to use a bird on the card, and I want the lines to mimic the flight path of the bird. So we're just going to quickly glue this down. And I'm just going to center it up near the top. Now the bird, I took the liberty of fussy cutting and adding dimensionals to it before I started the video, just so that it would be a little quicker. So we're just going to put him up near the top here. And then for the greeting, I'm going to use the thank you, the scripted thank you. I just think it's really pretty, and I think it looks really good with the early espresso ink. Okay, and we're just going to center it here near the bottom. I like to hold it down a few seconds just so the ink has a chance to transfer. There we go. I'm going to clean my ink pad. I always call it an ink pad. I'm going to clean my stamp is what I meant to say. Okay, and then next I'm going to show you a technique using the tissue paper from the kit. Now if you saw my videos from last month, you'll know that I like to use the tissue paper from the kit, and this month it was pink, so it was extra enticing. And so I made a little ruffle. I felt that this card was a little plain and I wanted there to be something along the bottom here. So what I did was I cut a long strip of tissue paper, and this strip is probably 1/2 inch wide by, well, it's the length of the tissue paper, the long side of the tissue paper in the kit, and I think it's about 24 inches wide. And then I wanted to make a little ruffle, so I'm going to show you this technique, and I'm just going to warn you, if you're not into fiddly techniques or you don't want to fuss with things, this might not be for you, but I want to show you what I did anyway, just in case you do want to try it. So I used a pencil and I used liquid ink. Now I think liquid ink is best for tissue paper, but you could probably try using the snail. And the trick to this is you don't want to get this glue on your hands or on the pencil, because once that happens, it's all over. I won't go any further than that. I just want to tell you that. So you put the pencil somewhere on the tissue paper to begin with, and you, oops, I almost did exactly what I was saying not to do. You lap the tissue paper over the top of the pencil, keeping it in line with itself, and then press down and release the pencil. Now the place that you press down, you're going to put another little dot of glue. Not much glue, do not put much glue. And you want to, the other thing is you want to keep this line straight, because otherwise your ruffle is going to start going askew if you don't keep it straight. And then I'm going to fold this back on itself and press down. Now this part doesn't have to be pretty, you can press it. This can be a mess because the part that's going to look pretty is the part where you put the pencil in. So we're going to put the pencil underneath. We're going to put another little dot of glue just to the side of the pencil. We're going to fold the tissue paper over and hold it and pull the pencil out. And right where my finger is, we're going to put another dot of glue. Fold it back on itself, put the pencil in again, put a dot of glue very close to the pencil, pull the tissue paper back and press, pull out the pencil. So that's, whoops, sorry for hitting that. Try to straighten that, there we go. That's pretty much it. I'll just do a few more just so that you can just get a really good idea. And this long piece of tissue paper is just going to make a ruffle big enough for the size of a card. So you're going to need a very long strip of paper to do this, which is the size that I showed you. So we're just going to put a little dab of glue, pull it over, press, pull out the pencil, right where my finger was, another dab of glue. We're folding this over, by the way. Press, put the pencil in, and oh, before I pull that down, we're going to put a little dab of glue. And that's it. And if you just keep doing that, you will wind up with this cute little ruffle. So I'm going to show you a ruffle that I completed so we don't have to spend another 5 minutes making that. Here's one right here that I made. Now this ruffle is not straight. I made a few of them. This one I kind of smushed down a bit because I thought this one looked too perfect. And neither one of these, as you can see, are straight, but I just wanted a little embellishment for the front of the card because I thought it would be cute. I like ruffles, and I'm not really sure which one I like better. I think I like them both. I think I like this one. So I'm just going to put a little line of glue there where I want it. And you don't need much glue at all with tissue paper. It just sticks to anything. So I'm just going to actually spread that out a bit. There we go. Does it look better this way? No, I think it looks better this way. And that's it. You can even smush it down a bit. It doesn't have to look perfect, and you can shape it into whatever shape you want. If you don't like where that's sitting, tissue paper is very easily formed. There we go. And then I want to put another greeting down here, and I want to put, I think, Dear Friend. So I'm going to use my Petal Pink to match ink pad, and this is the Dear Friend. And I'm just going to put this right below the tissue paper. There, isn't that pretty? I think I had something in my ink pad there. It looks, I think, see how I have a little bit of a dark spot? I think I pressed a stamp that had some dark ink in there into it at one point, but okay, doesn't look too bad. Okay, so there's a very simple card you can make. These ruffles are really cute. I think they just look nice as an embellishment on a card. Now, they're going to smush a bit when you put them in the envelope, but as I said, it doesn't really matter because when you smush them, they still kind of look the same. It's not a big deal. I'll show you a card that is similar that I made using the same technique. This one, the only difference here is that I put a background panel of Petal Pink, but I ran out, so I just made this one without. Okay, so for card number 2, I want to show you before we start another, I don't know if I would call this a technique, but what I did on this card was I took a ruler, and in this case I'm using a Tim Holtz ruler, and the nice thing about this ruler is that you can see through it, and it has all the markings on it just like a quilting ruler does. So what I did was I lined up this 1/4 inch mark. It's a 1/4 inch from the metal edge because there's a metal edge on this Tim Holtz ruler. So I'm lining up the 1/4 inch from the top line with the bottom of my card, and I'm also lining up one of the 1/4 inch lines with the edge of the card. And then I used brown, and I don't have a Stampin' Write. I had a Stampin' Write black marker, but I felt that it was too dark for the card, but it actually, the brown one didn't turn out to be much different. And all I'm doing here is I'm going to put a little dot every 1/8 of an inch right up along the edge of the ruler. Now you might be asking yourself, why is she doing that? I'm just showing you this on a scrap of paper, and I'll show you why I was doing this in a second. Well, I guess I can tell you why I was doing this. I was making a card, and the card looked kind of plain, and I only had one piece of petal pink cardstock left, and I didn't have enough to make I didn't have enough to make a piece to go on the front, is what I'm trying to say. So I wanted to make a frame for the card. So you can see that this is just making a dotted border or a dotted line. And here's what I'm trying to say. I had this piece of cardstock, and I felt that the front was sort of plain, and so I wanted there to be a frame around the card, and so I just made a frame with dots. And to be honest, I think I probably have a stamp in my stash that would make a dotted line like this, but I couldn't be bothered looking for it because I wasn't sure where it was, and I thought, why not just make it myself? So this next set of cards I'm going to call bits and pieces cards, let's say, because I'm just using bits and pieces from the kit, and I'm adding in a punched piece of gold cardstock. So for this card, I cut a piece of petal pink. You could cut a piece from the envelope, but I used a piece from my stash. I'm going to use one of the little flowers from the kit, and I fussy cut one of the birds that was on one of the card fronts from the kit. And very simple, I'm just going to stick this little circle down first. See if I can get this in the right place here. I want to put the flowers below it, so how about there? And then we'll put the flowers next. And then we're going to layer this over, but I want the flowers to show. So I'll stick them there. We'll put some dimensionals on the back. I keep hitting this, sorry about that. Put some dimensionals on the back of the circle. Now this is a card that you could make from any little bits and pieces. Like when you have these little pieces, just think to yourself, how could I take them and sort of form them into a little cluster on a card and make the card. You always want to have a focal point, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So the focal point here is just this little cluster of embellishments, and it's just something that you can do with any kit you have or any card you're trying to make. And it's not hard. And okay, so I'm going to take this bird and I'm going to stick him right onto, it's a swallow, so if you've ever been in the company of swallows, they like to swoop. So I like to have the swallow coming down at an angle. There we go. I probably shouldn't have put adhesive back there, but hopefully it's okay. And then I'm going to stamp something here. What will I stamp? How about hugs? Okay. I thought that this would fit nicely right there. I probably should have stamped it before I put the punch down, but that's okay. We'll fit it in there. Okay, so we'll nestle the greeting right in here. And then we'll just clean that off. Then we'll take the dear friend. I like to place it down and then put the block on top so that I know that it's straight. And I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper and I'm going to don't throw your scraps away. When you're trimming your paper down, just keep your scraps because they're great for these little sentiments. And then I'm just going to trim this down. I'm going to cut it at an angle on both sides. Whoops. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. My camera's in an awkward spot. All right. I'm going to trim it down. And I want it to be sort of on the thin side, so I'm just going to eyeball it and trim it this way also. Because I just want there to be a very thin sentiment there. I don't want it to carry a lot of weight in the card, let's say. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of Tombow. Not much. Actually, I'm only going to use the Tombow on the part that's going to be on the card, so I'll just use Tombow on this end. There. And there you have it. Simple little card. Not hard to do. If you take the fussy cutting out of the equation, this is once again probably a 5-minute card. And you can make this border on any card. Anytime you feel like your card is a little plain and you just would like a border, just draw some dots around. Or if you have a stamp that has these dots, that's just as easy too. Okay, let me just clean the stamp I just used, and I'll show you some other cards that I made like that. Actually, I'll keep this here, just so you can see the difference. This is the card that I was trying to recreate, but I ran out of paper, and I did have this one base, so I just decided to make it square. So this one has hello instead of hugs. And here's another one. This one I used the feather from the kit, and I used the envelope again to cut out a little circle, and this one I said grateful for you. And then this one I used a piece of Pool Party, and I used one of the labels that came with the kit, and I used the texture stamp, and I used 2 different colors of ink here. I used Pool Party and Petal Pink. And I just created a visual line, I guess, going this way. So there's 4 easy cards that you can make just with some basic card bases and some little bits and pieces. Oh, and actually I made another one I forgot to show you. I'll bring these ones back just to show you. This card I made using a thicker piece of tissue paper. This tissue paper is, let's see, how wide is this? This is 1.25 inches wide. And the only difference between these two is that with this one, I flattened it out. So I went like this, I folded it back on itself, so I put a piece of glue here. Actually, I'll just do it to show you. So I took the glue and I put a piece, a dot here, and then I folded it back on itself. Then I put I put a dot of glue underneath, and then right where the dot of glue is, so that you won't see it, I folded it back on itself. So you want to put another dot of glue there. You don't need much glue, but sometimes a little bit more comes out than you want. And then I just kept doing that. I just kept putting a dot of glue. Oh, and you need some underneath there too. And then folding it back on itself. You just want to keep it straight when you're doing that. And that's all I did. And then I took 2 of those pieces and I put them down, and I used once again one of those punches, and I elevated one of the birds, left one of them flat, and stamped a greeting. So there's 3 different cards that you can use the ruffle technique with. I'm overusing Petal Pink this month, I think, but it is my favorite color, and I'm now out of Petal Pink, which is a minor concern, and I really have to order some more of it. Okay, now for the next card, the last card I'm going to show you is my favorite card, and it involves this technique. Okay, so I'm going to use the texture stamp that came in the kit. It's just a bunch of little dots. And I'm going to use Early Espresso. And I'm just going to grab a piece of paper to stamp on so that I don't make too much of a mess. And all I'm going to do is cover the card in this texture stamp. Now, for the examples I'm going to show you next, I actually stamped off first before I stamped onto the card, but those cards are using white, Whisper White cardstock, and this one is very vanilla, so I'm just going to change it up and see how it looks with the first generation stamping on the card. And what I did a little differently was that I brought in a couple other colors after I finished with this. And I think that that gives it that extra excitement, if you want to call it that. You should experiment, like when you first get your kit, take those stamps and just take some scrap paper and just start stamping them, and fussy cut out all the little pieces and just start moving them around and see what you like, because that's the way to figure out new ideas for cards. Okay, I'm going to clean that off. I really love this stamp. I'm going to be getting a lot of use out of this after this kit, the contents of this kit are all used up. What am I doing? Okay, so we're going to close that up, and I'm going to use Petal Pink. Again, Petal Pink. I'm sorry, I'm overusing Petal Pink, but I can do that because it's my video, right? Okay, and I'm not going to stamp off. I'm just going to keep stamping. Besides, stamping off is extra work, right? And I'm going to put a sentiment in the middle, so I'm not going to stamp too much in the middle. I'm going to stamp around the outside a bit more. Okay, and now I'm going to clean this off again. And I'm going to bring in Balmy Blue. And I'm going to do that again. Let me see if I want to stamp off. This color is a little darker. Yeah, I think I will stamp this one off because this color, it could get intense quickly. The Petal Pink you don't need to stamp off, I don't think, because it's too light of a color to make a difference. But I don't want this blue to take over the card. And you can see how the addition of different colors really adds to it. It gives it, I don't know if you'd call it 3D, but it gives it something that you don't have with one color. And I think it would be, I didn't have time to experiment with a million different colors, but I think it would be fun to do that. I would love to know what green and yellow look like together, or any other card combinations. I was just using these colors because they happen to go with the kit. So I just made it easy, I guess. Okay, I'm going to clean up a little here. I'll get rid of the ink pad, get rid of the glue, get rid of this piece of paper. Okay, so now we have a background, and I wanted to point out that what do you call this? The negative of the labels that came with the kit. There's a lot of dimension that you can achieve by nesting these. There's actually, this label too is smaller, and you could even cut this one out and put it on top of this one. You could have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layer embellishment if you cut this all out. So I'm going to try cutting one of these out and seeing how it looks on a card. So I'm just going to cut around the outside of the silver label here. And I'm just eyeballing it. I'm going to try to be as careful as possible. And when you get to the juncture here with the other one, you can just cut straight, and then we'll round the corner in a minute. There's enough label there so that you don't have to worry. Okay, there we go. And I'm just going to round this slightly. Now, you could probably use a knife to do this if you wanted to be a little more exact, or you could use your trimmer maybe. I wouldn't feel comfortable with a trimmer, but I think I might feel comfortable with a knife. But just for the purposes of this video, to make it move quicker and to see what I'm doing, I'm just going to cut like that. Now, I was going to place this, and now you see, if we put this on top, that gives it some, some interest, because if you look at it from the side, you can still see the underneath poking through, the design, I mean, coming through. I think that's what we'll do. I think I'm going to use glue. I wish I had the fine tip glue pen. That is, I think I ordered that in my last order, so I think that's on its way to me. I can't remember. Sometimes I order and it's the middle of the night, and not the middle of the night, but it's late at night, and I can't remember what I ordered. Tell me I'm not alone. Because this is sort of awkward. You definitely don't want to put too much glue. Oops. You don't want to put too much glue. Okay. So we'll try to center that as much as possible. There we go. And now for the next layer, if you want to call it that, level, I think I'm going to use dimensionals. And I wanted to bring these flowers in also. I think I'll put the flowers down here. So they're peeking out. And then we'll use some dimensionals. All you lucky people that got this kit, if you've started using it, you know how good it is. And if you haven't started using it, it is just so easy to use. It just seems like every card turns out really pretty. I wish every kit involved birds. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so I'll just center this. Oh, you don't see as much as I thought you would. I thought you would see the design poking through, but it does give it some dimension. Okay, and then we're gonna put another layer on top here. And what shall we stamp here? Where has my stamp set gone? How about, let's just put thank you, seeing as we have the stamp here anyway. I always need thank you cards, so let's put thank you. Thank you cards and birthday cards. Thing is though, have you ever noticed that when you need a card for a man, you never have enough? I feel like I always have cards for women handy, and I don't have enough cards for men handy. Okay, we're just going to center that. Hopefully it's straight. Sorry, I keep touching my camera. Okay, so this layer, I'm going to put some flowers here too. I wanted to put some flowers on the second layer. Let's put one there. So it balances the flowers in the other corner. That flower looks like it's going the wrong way. There. Okay, and how about another layer of dimensionals? And wait till you see the card, the other card I made with this involving ribbon. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite card. Whoops. All right. 1, 2, 3. I guess I should put one in the middle. 2. Okay. There we go, and I'm going to add another flower, and also I wanted to bring in the little bird trinket. That's too many. Okay, let's put another flower here. I'm going to use glue for this one. And I just want to hang it off the edge, right above the other flower. And for the trinket, I should probably use a glue dot. Hold on. Had to go find my glue dots. Okay, I'm going to use these little ones that came with the kit. And to get them off, sorry, I keep knocking that thing. All right, I think I'm just going to stick the bird on there. No, that's not going to work. Okay. I'll have to just pick them off. I think that your take your pick tool would be really good for this. I don't know where mine is right now. This bird is so tiny. It's really hard to work with. Okay, we've got 3 glue dots on here. Do you think that's going to be enough? All right, I hope so. And then once again, the bird is swooping in. There we go. And I have a base layer here, which is also very vanilla. So I'm just going to put some snail within the border. Didn't trim that very well. Okay, there we go. Isn't that pretty? And what makes this especially almost decadent looking is the triple layer that's going on here. You know when you buy a card at the grocery store, I don't know if you do buy cards at the grocery store, but if you do, sometimes it just takes one little thing like that to make a card look extra special. And I think that a triple layer of anything just makes it look a little, I don't know, extra, I guess. Okay, so this card I made in another color, and this is using Whisper White, obviously. And I did the same thing. I added flowers, and I just used a circle die cut with stitch circles, so very similar. And then my favorite card of all that I made this month is this card. And I took the texture stamp and I heat embossed it with gold embossing powder all over the card. And oh my gosh, it just looks so nice. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but it looks so nice in real life. And I used the ribbon, and I just wrapped the ribbon. I didn't go all the way around the back because I wanted to conserve the ribbon, but I did fold it under, and I'm not sure if I would do that again. I would probably just snip it at the edge because it does make this lump here. But I think when you see it from the front, you don't really notice that very much. Like, I really don't, actually. As long as your adhesive is good, I think that that's not a problem. But the only thing is that when I cut this piece of ribbon on an angle, it frayed very quickly. Like, I had to be very careful with it because it was fraying quite a bit. So I don't know, it's like you take your chances. Do you want it to possibly fray, or do you want there to be no fraying and have a bit of a lump? But anyway, and then this label I cut from one of the envelopes. So if you're wondering why it's blue and not silver, that's why. Okay, so here I'll bring in all the cards to show you again. Oh, I gotta get that out of the way. Here they all are. And that's it for this month. I had a great time this month making these cards. They were some of my favorites that I have ever made. So I don't know, it's just really exciting getting this kit every month. So if you're in Canada and you would like to get the kit, I'll leave a link in the description below. And if you're in the rest of the world and you're just getting your kit or have already gotten your kit, I hope that this inspired you to go out and make some fun cards. And I really enjoy watching everybody else's alternative videos. So I'm going to turn off the camera and I'm going to go watch what some other people made. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.